Schedule management is one of the most tested topics on the PMP exam and one of the most misunderstood. The trap most candidates fall into is treating schedule management as calendar management, knowing what dates activities are planned to start and finish. But the PMP exam tests something deeper, whether you can plan, baseline, control, and recover a schedule under real project conditions. In this video, I'll break down Task 6 from Domain 2, Plan and Manage Schedule. 6 enablers, the key tools the exam tests, how Agile teams handle schedule differently, and a practice question. Let's get into it. Task 6 sits in Domain 2. Process, 50% of the exam. The task statement is, Plan and Manage Schedule. There are 6 enablers. First, estimate project tasks, milestones, stories, and dependencies. Second, utilize benchmarks and historical data. Third, prepare schedule based on methodology. Fourth, measure ongoing progress based on methodology. Fifth, modify and refine schedule based on work performance feedback. Sixth, coordinate with other projects and other operations. 6 enablers covering the full schedule lifecycle from estimation through control and coordination. The trap most candidates fall into. They think schedule management means knowing the plan. The PMP exam tests whether you can control the plan and recover it when reality diverges. 3 things separate a real schedule from a list of dates. A baseline, the approved version of the schedule against which actual performance is measured. Without a baseline, you cannot measure variance. Without variance measurement, you cannot manage. A measurement mechanism, SPI from EVM, percent complete, milestone completion. Something quantitative that tells you where you actually are versus where you plan to be. A control process, the mechanism for approving schedule changes, updating the baseline, and communicating schedule status. On the exam, any schedule question that ignores these 3 elements is wrong. The first enabler is estimate project tasks, milestones, stories, and dependencies. Before building a schedule, the PM must know what work exists, how long it takes, and in what order it must be done. Estimation techniques on the exam. Analogous estimating uses historical data from similar projects, fast but less accurate. Parametric estimating uses statistical models, cost per unit, hours per deliverable. 3-point estimating uses optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely durations to create a weighted average, the PERT formula. Bottom-up estimating sums work package estimates, most accurate, most time-consuming. Dependencies are sequenced using 4 relationship types. Finish to start is the default, most common, most tested. The critical path, which we covered in a previous video, is the output of this sequencing work. The second enabler is utilize benchmarks and historical data. This enabler reinforces one of the most consistent PMI principles. Use what you know from past projects to improve future estimates. Benchmarks are industry standards or organizational reference points. Average delivery time for similar work, typical velocity for a team of this size, historical defect rates that affect schedule. Historical data comes from the organizational process assets, the organization's library of past project records. On the exam, any question about estimation that offers historical data as an option, use it. PMI consistently rewards evidence-based estimation over pure expert opinion when historical data is available. The third enabler is prepare schedule based on methodology. The schedule format depends on whether the project is predictive, agile, or hybrid. In predictive projects, the schedule is a Gantt chart, activities plotted against a timeline, with dependencies shown, and the critical path highlighted. The schedule baseline is formally approved by the sponsor before execution begins. In Agile projects, the schedule is expressed as a release plan and sprint plan, which stories will be delivered in which sprint, and when releases are expected. Velocity drives the schedule. If the team completes 10 story points per sprint, the release plan is built on that rate. On the exam, methodology questions test whether you apply the right scheduling tool to the right project context, not whether you can memorize Gantt chart mechanics. The fourth enabler is measure ongoing progress based on methodology. Schedule measurement without a baseline is meaningless. You need both to identify variance. In predictive projects, the primary schedule measurement tool is Schedule Performance Index, SPI, from EVM. SPI equals EV divided by PV. SPI below 1 means behind schedule. SPI above 1 means ahead. Milestones are also tracked as binary, complete or not, and provide a simple progress check. In Agile projects, velocity is the schedule measurement, actual story points completed per sprint versus planned. Burn down charts show remaining work against remaining time. On the exam, match the measurement tool to the methodology described in the scenario. The fifth enabler is modify and refine schedule based on work performance feedback. When actual performance diverges from the schedule baseline, the PM must respond. Schedule compression techniques are the primary tools tested here. Crashing, adding resources to critical path activities to shorten duration. Cost more, only works on the critical path. Fast tracking, overlapping activities that were planned in sequence. Increases risk, no direct cost. When compression is not sufficient or not available, the schedule baseline may need to be revised, but only through the change control process. The PM does not unilaterally update the baseline. On the exam, the sequence matters. Measure variance, identify root cause, evaluate response options, implement the least disruptive response, update documents through change control. The sixth enabler is coordinate with other projects and other operations. Projects do not exist in isolation. They share resources, dependencies, and timelines with other projects and with ongoing operational work. Schedule coordination is particularly important when shared resources are involved. A team member committed to 2 projects simultaneously is a schedule risk for both. The PM must identify these conflicts early and negotiate resource availability through the resource manager or portfolio manager. On the exam, scenarios involving resource conflicts between projects are coordination scenarios. The correct response involves negotiation and escalation to the appropriate authority, not unilaterally pulling the resource from the other project. In Agile environments, schedule management looks fundamentally different, and the exam tests this explicitly. Agile teams do not maintain a Gantt chart. Instead, they plan at 2 levels. The release plan, which features will be delivered by when, and the sprint plan, which stories will be completed in the current iteration. Schedule variance in Agile is measured by comparing actual velocity to planned velocity. If the team planned 12 story points per sprint but is delivering 8, the release plan needs to be adjusted, either by reducing scope, adding sprints, or improving team performance. On the exam, Agile schedule questions always involve velocity, burn down, or release planning, never Gantt charts or critical path. Match the tool to the methodology. 3 traps on Task 6 questions. Trap 1, updating the schedule without change control. When actual progress diverges from the baseline, the response goes through change control before the baseline is revised. The PM does not unilaterally update the approved schedule. Trap 2, crashing non-critical activities. Crashing only shortens the project when applied to critical path activities. Adding resources to non-critical work wastes money and does not reduce the project end date. Trap 3, treating behind schedule as automatically requiring more resources. The exam expects root cause analysis first. Behind schedule may be caused by scope creep, dependency delays, resource unavailability, or estimation errors, each requiring a different response. Let's recap Task 6, Plan and Manage Schedule. Enabler 1, Estimate, use analogous, parametric, three-point or bottom-up techniques with historical data. Enabler 2, Benchmarks, use organizational and industry data to validate estimates. Enabler 3, Prepare, Gantt for predictive, release and sprint plan for Agile. Enabler 4, measure SPI and milestones for predictive, velocity and burn down for Agile. Enabler 5, modify, crash or fast track, then change control for baseline updates. Enabler 6, coordinate, negotiate shared resources, align with other projects. Core principle, a schedule is only useful if it has a baseline, a measurement mechanism, and a control process. Let's test your understanding. Question: a project manager reviews the latest performance report and finds that the schedule performance index is 0.78. The project deadline is fixed and cannot be extended. The project is currently on budget. What should the project manager do first? Option A, add resources to all project activities to accelerate delivery. Option B, immediately revise the schedule baseline to reflect current progress. Option C, analyze the root cause of the schedule variance, identify critical path activities that can be crashed or fast-tracked, and present options to the sponsor. Option D, reduce scope through the change control process to bring the schedule back in line with the baseline. The correct answer is C. SPI of 0.78 means the project is significantly behind schedule, completing only 78 cents of planned work for every dollar of planned schedule consumed. With a fixed deadline, the PM must act. But the PMI sequence is analyze root cause first, then identify options, then present to the sponsor. Crashing and fast-tracking target the critical path, and the decision to do so involves cost and risk trade-offs that the sponsor should be informed about. Why not A? Adding resources to all activities is unfocused. Only critical path activities affect the end date. Non-critical work does not need acceleration. Why not B? Revising the baseline without change control and without attempting recovery is giving up. The PM's job is to recover the schedule, not accept the delay. Why not D? Reducing scope may be an option, but it is a major decision that requires change control and sponsor involvement. It is not the first step. C is correct because it investigates, identifies options, and escalates appropriately. That is your complete guide to PMP Domain 2, Task 6, Plan and Manage Schedule. Subscribe for more PMP exam prep. Next up, the Quality Trap, Domain 2, Task 7 Explain. See you in the next video.